Hello, ActoSage here on the Sage channel, and I'm here today to show you this little craft right here, which actually isn't, well, very little. This is the Mega Mining Mobile Tower, or Mobile Mining Tower, or Mobile Mega Mining Tower, whichever one you please. Either way, though, it is a humongous mining ship, and we're currently in the bridge, all designed to use lasers to mine down into the Earth. And I guess I can go ahead and give you a tour of the outside. We'll go from the bridge up to the very top through an airlock here. We got buttons here so you can close the exterior door and pressurize this little airlock. Or once you're inside, of course, you can go ahead and depressurize it. We're not going to do that because we're currently on Earth, which has an atmosphere. And for some reason it does that, even though, yes, we have an atmosphere. Don't know what's up with that. But either way, we're up on top. You can see, once again, buttons to go ahead and handle the airlocks through here. You can see we have a docking collar at the top, a nice little antenna so we can communicate, which I actually love quite a bit that I insetted. And then we have some turrets set about to defend us from any meteorites or anything that comes at us. So you'll see a lot of lasers on this ship. I should say also this bulk out right here is so that the airlock has its own oxygen container separated from everything else. Anyway, as we fly out, you'll see the bridge area that we were just in there. We'll get back to it in a minute, and an observation deck under that. As we fly out farther, more connection points so that other ships could come and collect the refined ore or even the unrefined ore and take it up to motherships or what have you up farther away. As we continue on down the ship here, though, you'll see we have this huge opening right here, which is where we have a bunch of thrusters sticking out, or I should say, with a point to send their thrust out to allow the ship to maneuver about. Below that, we have, well, a laser above and below it, I should say, as well as another little guy right here and another docking port, because you never know, you might have smaller ships running around maintaining things, and they might need to dock somewhere down here instead of flying all the way back up to the top. We got some just randomness here before we head down to this rectangular section here, which is much the same as the one before, but instead we have, pardon me, but instead of having the thrusters shooting out the side, we have them aiming straight down right here. And you can see this open area remains open pretty much all the way to there, where we have one more thruster aiming down. And then we get to the actual main mining head here, the drill head, or whatever you'd like to call it. And you can see we have tons of little tiny maneuvering thrusters here. Fortunately, their LOD seems to pop to a lower poly kind of quickly, which you end up with a bit of poly counts showing. But overall, you can see how the ship is set up with a bunch of these to allow for some more maneuvering thrust down here. And if we were to actually look over it, which you can see we got some laser turrets here, you'll notice that in the inside we also have the big mining laser turrets here. Actually, we have oodles of them. As you can see, we got 3 on this face, 3 on this face, and then the same on the mirrors of those. As well as in the center, of course, we have 4 more mining turrets, as well as a 5th one that can aim straight down or wherever it pleases. And then, of course, we have a few more thrusters to help hold this thing up right on the bottom, and some lights, making quite the interesting array of just, well, equipment down here on the ship, as well as some laser turrets, just in case something decides to attack the ship from below. It'll have some defense here, as you can see, little nice modded laser turrets, which should be in the vanilla game, sitting right here. Fancy little things. It's all pretty nifty. You can even see, though, we have some oxygen intakes right here to pull in air to keep our ship pressurized for the living areas. And what else do we have to show down here? I think that's about it. Now we can actually go ahead and start looking at the inner workings of the ship. And we'll start here and then end back up top. And we're going to do that by, first and foremost, putting our character there, going to spectator mode, doing the control F7 to bring our character, or our camera, to our character, so we can get a proper sense of scale. So there's our nice little character there. And zoom ourselves out. We might go into a mountain here, but you can see, already can't see the character anymore. It's a humongous structure. And then we'll start going into it. So we'll start right down here, just above this beam turret. You can see we have 2 ore detectors. I couldn't really, well, I could have, I guess, gotten them facing straight down, but for the time being, I don't have them, so they're just sitting here, and I don't think direction they point actually matters. If we turn on our UI, you should be able to see, yeah, they're able to ping a little bit of iron there. I'll show this thing in action in a little bit, but if we carry on up from here, and you can see all these connectors are obviously connecting to the even more beam drills out the side. whole hefty lot of piping in here. A lot of redundancy piping too, you might see, like this here. There's not really any point for this to go to a 4 or 6-way junction before it comes up and then heads all the way out to the outer ring, but it does. So everything is piped together. But then we got some cargo containers, our little tiny thrusters here. So carry on up, we come to this, the first bulk of actual refining equipment here. It's quite the hefty bulk of it. These are all arc furnaces, and they all tie through each other since they have the port on this side and on the other side into a connector there. We also have some gyroscopes on this edge of them. There looks to be only 3 layers thick, but that's still a pretty hefty layer of just these buggers. And this is where you can see our other thrusters here aiming down and then outwards. There's a lot of orange light glowing about. Not really any lights inside here. Decided to just not bother with that. Well, for a million different reasons. Anyway, you can see we got a ton of gyroscopes heading up the walls here, as well as more cargo containers up this center. It's a little hard to see all this, I know. I'm a little sorry about that. Before we have some reactors shoved in here on either side, as well as just behind us, so 4-way symmetry again. We can head up this quite insane stack where it's just more and more of the same. Once we get to here, though, it does change up a little bit. You got just cargo containers in the main 4 directions, as well as more of these little arc furnaces shoved in the corner right here. And you see they're too thick, and they go up for quite a while, all the way to here. And if you're to fly out the wall, you'll see that we've now reached from way down there all the way up to this point. I should point out that in this bit right here as well, ta-da, we have thrusters inside. So it's not just these you see here, it's the ones above it with the 4 block gaps. They don't burn through the other ones to give this ship enough lift to keep it in the air even when its cargo holds are relatively full up. And then of course flying through here in the center, you'll see where we were. That's where like a lot of these gyroscopes and stuff were, as well as these fun, well, I can't really see anything, it's all packed in, isn't it? But these little guys here, these furnaces, the arc furnaces. Anyway, heading up farther, another floor or bulk of arc furnaces, as well as some oxygen storage. That's where you see the piping heading out to those connectors over here. And then carrying on up, we have tons and tons and tons more thrusters. In fact, that's why we have these large rectangular sections sticking out right here and down there. These are all basically our maneuvering, well, pylons, nacelles, or however you wish to say it or call it. Anyway, you can see these go up quite a bit, stacking, well, really quite far up into the heights of this ship. And you'll see there's not really any walkways or maintenance in here. It's a lot of just equipment, well, just packed in here. It's not really for people to walk around and maintenance. You'd have to fly about to maintenance most of this, but it is all piped up, and, well, it's nigh impossible to see. You can see a lot of upgrade modules there, because we have refineries stuck in here, proper big ones for them, stuff that the smaller arc furnaces could not take care of. And you see this whole stack goes down, if we get to right here, pretty far. I can fly down to here at the bottom so you can see how far up it goes. A little hard to tell, isn't it? It's quite cramped in here. And then we have, of course, assemblers here. I think it's 3 on each side. Yes, indeedy. Before we come all the way up to this final sort of open area, which is right at the pretty much the top of the ship if we were to fly out of it right there. Ta-da! And above that is just the living area. Now, how do you access this from the living area? Well, another airlock right there. And we can bring our character in, whose jetpack wasn't on, so he ended up taking a small tumble. And we'll just fly up here and pop this door open. Ta-da! And it's just the same as the other one. I don't know why it does the depressurization thing. We're on Earth. There's atmosphere everywhere. It's silly. Anyway, we can go ahead and pop this open, and ta-da, we're in the observation deck. Below where we started, basically. And you can see from here, you can see out a relatively amazing view of everything. Slightly dirty glass in this darkness, but during the day it's not so bad, I don't think. Some seats, we even have some cryopods here for crew to sleep in if need be. A medical bay set up and actually piped in. I'm pretty sure they got the upper pipe working to that now. Some seats to sit about, once again button panels for the door here. It's just a rather nice observation deck, and if we start to go up these stairs, past all the cryopods, you'll come up to the bridge where we started the video. Ta-da! Which of course also has an incredible view. And of course you can sit in here, press K, and access the ship systems and maintenance whatever you want, or remote control a turret, or whatever you wish. And you can see tons of lighting everywhere. Everything should be pretty to code. We also have a small computer core area here with a timer block for each of the programmable blocks if you'd like to set something up. Currently nothing is set up. I didn't bother setting up Tim's system or anything like that, but of course if you wanted to, you could easily enough do that. And we even have room around this so you don't get locked away from the windows there. And then you have the main control area here where if you want to fly the ship by hopping this seat and fly it like you're basically flying just a standard mining ship in space or something, you could do that. Of course, this ship is not designed to function in space. It wouldn't, but it could work on, let's say, Mars or the alien world where they have different oxygen compounds because this whole area is, of course, pressurized. And then we have this right here, which is a more standard seat, and we can go into third person and you see it's almost like an aircraft control tower right there. And if we wanted, we can go ahead and maneuver the ship. You can see it actually moves pretty well. We're just moving it sideways, and everything seems to work pretty well. Bring it down a little bit here, pop back into spectator mode, fly our camera all the way down here, and now we can go ahead and press our number 1 key. And unfortunately, currently it looks like there's some glitchiness going on where these lasers right here are working, not the turret, but the actual laser behind it, and they're beaming all the way through and trying to mine out of that area there. But let's try, just real quick, drop this thing down. You can see it handles pretty well for such a humongous ship. Some more lasers kicking on. You can see our power usage at the far right. It's only at like 6%, so power should be pretty good on this ship. But let's try really quickly if we can just get these dang turrets to kick on and start doing their thing. It's a bit finicky. I'm pretty sure the mod said to just turn on the big laser drills and all the other little guys will kick on, but they don't seem like they're doing it. Part of it is, of course, this message where it says no ore detected nearby, which of course is a lie, since we can very clearly see some ore being detected. There we go, got it working. Just had to get, I guess, right next to the stuff. But we finally got it turned on, and you can see a bunch of these. They're not exactly aiming correctly, but they're doing their job nonetheless of blasting their way into the earth to go ahead and gather their ores from down in here. Let's see if we can turn on the lights here and actually get an idea of... Yeah, they're mining away at that iron pretty easily. And currently I have them set to go ahead and collect stone, so they're going to be collecting stone as well. Just as a demonstration that this ship can actually keep itself aloft even after it's gathered a huge amount of stone. Because you can see, because of the glitched out lasers here, where they're glitching through this and creating quite the interesting light show. And they're gathering stuff from way over here. It's quite the sight, actually. Seeing them, I'll turn them off real quick. Can I do that? Off button. There we go. Yeah, you can see they've mined themselves a huge tunnel here, which means they're collecting all of this stone. Quite the sight to see, actually. That's really quite odd, isn't it? Anyway, you can see that even though it's collected all of this stone, it's still able to keep aloft, which is, I think, pretty dang nifty. And ignore these little puffs of smoke, which are from, I think, the oxygen tanks intaking stuff. Anyway, guys and gals, that is this ship. I'm going to show you guys one more thing, which is just a cutaway of the ship, if I can get that working, and that'll be it for this video. Alrighty, well, it's been a little bit, and this ship might no longer be able to fly. Yep, looks like that's the case. So, what do you know, I was able to overload it, but hey, it's been mining dirt for about 10 minutes now without stop. Yeah, so that's about how long it takes to fill that up. And let's just go ahead and check for rock. Okay, it's called stone, isn't it? Stone, there we go. And you can see it's just a humongous number that's trying to refine through in one of these. There's another 38 million stone right there, another 38 million stone right there. So it takes quite a bit still to 103 million stone right there. Quite a bit to make this thing too heavy to fly, but not as much as I'd really like, so would probably want to work in tandem with some other things to keep taking refined ores and maybe just not collect so much stone. Anyway, as that slowly begins to tumble downwards, and I guess we'll let that crash, here's the cutaway I promised. I did lose a line of thrusters right here. Slightly unfortunate that happened. But the majority of it is still intact here. You can see the inner workings. A little hard to see. We'll turn on all the lights. That doesn't really help much, does it? Washes it out a bit, actually. But you can see inner workings. A lot of open space for those thrusters as we head downwards. You can see all the refineries here stacked on top of one another. Below that, pardon me, you can see where it transitions over to all the arc furnaces and more storage right here. And then, of course, we carry on down. You can see just how many of those arc furnaces there were in there. It's hard to tell when we were flying about inside. We come down here to more storage and more arc furnaces, I believe, as well as if you see any bits of metal that are still intact, that's usually because I have gyroscopes attached to those I didn't want to remove. And then we come all the way down to just a few more thrusters down here. And I didn't bother cutting this apart. It gets a bit too cramped to really do that without more trouble. Oh dear, it's happened. And because everybody likes to see a ship crash, why not? We'll end with this silly big goose tumbling over on itself and falling into the earth, as usually does happen when you crash megaships. And it's quite funny that you can see the bits of ore being pulled around in almost a, what is it, circular fashion or a C shape there on the left. And this might take a little bit of time. Let's see how much of it is actually going through the ground and how much of it is... Okay, yeah, a fair amount is starting to clip through the ground. Let's go ahead and see if we can go to our first-person view of our character that's still in there. He's now standing on the ceiling, and that's quite the horrifying show to see those explosions. Jesus Christ! Okay, yep. Okay, let's see if we can get to a seat. Let's see if we can get to a seat. Any seat? Any... Not good. Not good. I'm gonna try running back the other way now. And maybe the seats are over in this other way where I can get to. I don't want to just get in any seat. I want to get in the control seat. Oh my god, that's not a good sound. Yeah, the ground is slowly coming, actually quite quickly coming through the ground. It's like being in a ship that's sinking. I'll try to get in that seat. Okay, really quickly press the number 1 key, and that should shut off the lasers. 2 key. Number 2 key should shut off the lasers, and we're going through the Earth now. In first person, even. I think we were seeing the Earth for a second. I can't even go back into first person. Cool. So yeah, there you go. What everybody loves. Seeing a large ship crash into the Earth and slowly get devoured. It's... as per usual, it's quite the sight, isn't it? Yeah. It actually seems like it might have stopped for a second, but I suspect it's just a lull before more nightmarish things begin to happen. Let's also check the bridge, which has just been shredded completely. Amazingly, I think our seat, yeah, we're still in there, luckily enough. And the rest of it is just being torn apart by the universe as it slowly sinks into the ground. I'm not sure this will ever be fixed. I think that just might be part of space engineers nowadays. If you crash a megaship, well, prepare to have it devoured. It just sort of happens. Don't crash a megaship, I guess. You're going to lose the whole thing in a nightmare state. Jesus Christ, it is just devouring it. You can see at the top right there we have a thruster that's decided it just wants to be free. And is just floating gently. And the whole ship is still sinking into the Earth. As, you know, ships do in Space Engineers. They sink into the Earth if they're big. It's amazing, actually, how much of a ship can sometimes survive making it into the Earth. Its whole insides usually get shredded, because as it goes, every now and again, the game just updates, and it's like, oh, there's ground in here, and it'll destroy everything in contact with it, or a lot of it. That thruster really flew pretty far before just instantly destroying itself on the side there. If you go underground now, you'll be able to see that a lot of the ship, yep, is still here. Damaged, torn apart, but nonetheless, still here. And you can also see where the tunnels had been dug from it constantly drilling. Which is pretty nifty, honestly. Love those things, even if they are a bit glitchy. Anyway, I think that's about it for today. Yeah, you've seen ships crash before. You don't need to slowly see... Oh, God. Another one of these go boom over a long period of time before falling into the abyss that is the planet ping-ponging for a couple hours before just sitting in the center. Which does happen, I believe. Oh, well, actually, it looks like it's pretty quickly just severing itself, isn't it? I mean, you can see it's sort of tilting and snagging right here. As it, you know, little bits collide and create explosions. They create, openings. Oh my goodness. Uh-oh, you see that? There was an impact and it created a bit of earth right here where there wasn't any before. Yeah. Oh look, and there goes a tumbling piece of the ship up there. It is pretty cool if a bit laggedy and glitchy, isn't it? Oh my goodness. it creates like a chain reaction. If like one thing blows up, it creates a bit of earth around it, you know, a little cave, and then as another thing hits that, it obviously breaks because now it's colliding with something again, cracks that and makes another explosion, and so on and so forth, and just keeps on going, and you end up with, you know, these big, almost weird, it's like procedurally generated cave sections of oddity with little tiny bits of ship inside them leading down into the earth. I mean, like, look at these caves right here, where you just have like little bits of pipe. If you were to actually fly into these caves, this is what they look like. It's like a very weird little cave. Oh, and there was a pipe in here, but it's not here anymore. Oh, it's still there, we just couldn't see it. Cool. So yeah, there we go. There's our huge ship, the Mega Mining Tower, or... Oh, I've been separated from our spectator cam because the chair has come loose. Right, let's hop out of the chair then. And it's magically put us back on the surface. Well, that's, a miracle. We've survived. Right. Anyway, that's the ship destroyed. Thanks a bunch for watching, guys and gals, and I shall see you all next time. Alright, and of course, if you want to get this on the Steam Workshop, it should be up there in blueprint form, as well as obviously the mods needed for it, which are just the energy weapons and the beam mining laser thing. Pretty nifty. Ta-da!